Well, welcome to a very special episode of the Scarlet, Blue, and You. I'm your host, HLGU Alumni Director Lauren Yaus. What if one message could change your life? What if one person could remind you that the best is yet to come? That person is John O'Leary. And at 9 years old, John was burned on 100% of his body and given less than a 1% chance to survive. His journey of survival is a powerful testament to the human spirit. Today, he's the author of the national bestsellers On Fire and In Awe, host of the top-rated Live Inspired podcast, and an inspirational speaker who's taught millions to truly live inspired. His story was even recently made into a feature film, which I have seen, called Soul on Fire, which hit theaters this fall. John is also a business owner, a husband, and a father of 4. Once expected to die, now inspiring others to truly live. Please welcome John O'Leary.
Woo! I mean, please take your seats, people. Take your seats. My goodness.
They're so excited.
I mean,
so John, our community is really thrilled that you're coming to Hannibal-LaGrange University. Have you been to Hannibal before?
Many times.
I'm
a Missouri guy. I live just outside of St. Louis. I've had a friend actually who spent quite a bit of time at the hospital as a patient in Hannibal. And so I would go back and forth to visit my buddy and just make my way around the state as many times as I have. I know Hannibal very well.
Excellent. Well, we're thrilled you're coming back. So some of our audience knows you because you have been in Hannibal a few times and they've heard you before. But I thought before we dive into the deep stuff, maybe we'll have a little fun first. Is that okay with you?
I like having fun. Let's go.
Excellent. Okay. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
Excellent choice.
Except on women, I like yellow. I love when my wife wears yellow. I love it.
Happy yellow. I like it. Okay. What's your favorite Bible verse?
Probably, I'm going to give you one that I don't normally write in my books. I'm going to give you John 11:35. It's the shortest verse in Scripture, and it's just simply Jesus wept. And I love everything about that. So Jesus wept.
Very, very humanizing. That verse. That he's like us. Okay. Favorite place to go on vacation?
So we go to like the Panhandle of Florida. There's a little street down there called 38. It's like 20 miles long. And when I'm down there, I just feel lost in the best way.
Excellent. That sounds like a vacation place. All right. Favorite holiday?
Man, growing up and still it's Thanksgiving. It is all about fellowship and giving gratitude for what we've got. And candidly, very little of it earned. We're just so blessed. And as a nation, you can become so blessed that you forget how blessed you are. And I love the fact that that tradition came from Lincoln when he was knee deep in a civil war that was claiming the lives of all these young people. And in the midst of chaos, he as a nation paused to say, gosh, we got to celebrate how good we have it. I just think that what a cool moment for a holiday of Thanksgiving to be birthed out in the midst of chaos.
It's a good perspective. I like it. Like, look at the bigger picture. All right. This is a hard hitter. Dogs or cats?
Oh, that's not hard, man. Sorry, cats. I'm sure you get your cat people in here. I got 5 siblings. One of them is a cat person. She doesn't get invited over to the Thanksgiving anymore, but everybody else is into dogs.
I am also a cat person. It's furry and it will let me cuddle with it. I am on board. But
what's cool about cats is
I actually have.
They're so brilliant. I mean, dogs just are these like goofy boys essentially that follow you everywhere, like chasing squirrels. Cats are cool. They're the apex hunters, man. So they are a cool animal.
Yes, and fluffy. Gotta love fluffy. Okay, last fun question. What is your favorite book, fiction or nonfiction?
The one that probably moved me the most is but it depends on how you view it. It's called The Return of the Prodigal Son. And it's a story by Henry Nouwen about his experience looking at the painting from Rembrandt of the father welcoming his son home after making every mistake in the book. And it's this beautiful painting by Rembrandt. And it's a beautiful story of grace as pictured by Nouwen, reminding us of the biblical parable of the prodigal son and the prodigal father and the other son who looks on bitterly like, what is this grace all about? It's so human.
Excellent. I have not read that one. I'll have to put that on my list. All right. Well, thank you so much for having a little fun with me. And it's fun to get a glimpse of the person beyond what we see on stage. So thank you so much for that. All right. I'm going to shift gears a little bit to talk about your story and your message. You often say, and I think you got this from Mr. Buck, what more can I do? Um, so, how has that question shaped your walk with God and your purpose in life?
So the backstory for your listeners and viewers who may not know it is you're speaking to a guy who got burned at age 9 and should have died. But God, I mean, in so many ways, both miraculous, meaning like you just can't explain it, but also human. Like people showed up, people donated blood, people wrote checks, people visited and encouraged and cast a vision and spoke words of truth over me. So like it took both. But one of the individuals who showed up was a guy named Jack Buck, who was a broadcaster for the St. Louis Cardinals. The man is in 7 Hall of Fames, so he's a celebrity and a known commodity who heard about a little boy who got burned. And rather than just hearing about him and doing a social post called hashtag thoughts and prayers, back in January of 1987, Mr. Buck went to work. And when he left my room that first day, he was told by the staff I would die. And he went home that night and asked the question, what more can I do? What more can I do? That was the drumbeat of his life, drumbeat of his life. So that question, it saved my life as I view my story now. It gave me back the potential to live more fully. And I won't unpack all Jack did, but it's an incredible story of generosity. So his story, his question changed my life. I've been asking that same question for the last 8 years now, each night, while I brush my teeth. The rule of thumb at home is I can't stop brushing until I have an answer. What
No.
And so sometimes it's like, order new dog food in the morning. Like it's not that complicated. But other times it's like that kid you've been supposed to visit, like you heard about him. Tomorrow you're going to go. John, your dad has Parkinson's disease. Tomorrow's not promised. Bring him lunch and just sit with him. Take the afternoon off. John, your marriage is good, but not great. What could you do to make it more effective? What could you do to lean into it and be a better spouse for her? What more can I do? And so this question has changed the way I show up. And in my mind, faith isn't just about like butterflies and fluffy feelings. It's about picking up your mat and moving. It's about living differently because of your faith than you would have without it. And so that question to me, what more can I do, is all around action. Sometimes little things, but sometimes profoundly life-changing things.
I love that. And it's a good daily question to ask ourselves. So, how do you see your story as part of God's redemptive work, turning tragedy into testimony?
Look at a cross. Like it is the symbol of a barbaric way to kill someone cruelly. And Christians celebrate that as our emblem of freedom. Like, I don't think we like really acknowledge that enough. Like we look at a cross like, oh, look at that cute little thing out there in the woods or in front of the church, the people. And man, that's not how the Romans saw it. It's not how the Jews saw it. And it is uniquely how the Christians see it, present tense. So when I look at my story, and I'm not comparing myself to Christ, please know that. But I do recognize now, looking back on my story, how brutal the thing was to get burned on 100% of your body at age 9, to lose your fingers, and to go through life scarred and broken. Thank God. I have very little ego because I'm able to look in the mirror each morning, and what I see staring back at me is not the kind of thing you'd want to celebrate, and yet it's the kind of thing God uses. So God uses broken stories and scars and woundedness for his perfect purposes. It's awesome. It's true in my story. It's certainly true in his story. And it's true in all of our stories.
Right. Because we all have scars. They may not be as visible, but they're there.
That same writer I told you about, Henry Nouwen, in that same book, Return of the Prodigal Son, he writes, what is most personal and private is most universal and sacred. And I'm going to say it again because it's so cool. What is most personal and private? The ugliest part about you is most universal and sacred. It's the part he wants to use.
I love that. That's great. All right. So in your new film, Soul on Fire, tells your story in such a powerful way. What was that like to see your life portrayed on the screen? And what do you hope audiences take away?
Oh, man. Well, that's a lot there. So we'll start with the first piece. It was surreal, and it remains surreal. Like when I go to the film still, it's still out there. To Okay. So where they shot the scenes of the little boy getting burned, that is my mom and dad's house.
Hmm.
Where they shot the scene, you mentioned you saw the film, where older John is talking to his dad on the screened-in porch about some mistakes he'd made. And his dad says back to him, John, that you got to knock down that wall. The can of gasoline can isn't chasing you anymore. It's been 24 years. When are you going to stop running? Like that exact quote was dropped in that screen porch because that is my mom and dad's house. That's the porch where my dad said those words to me. Where I met my wife was at our college. Where we got married was called the Shrine of St. Joseph. They filmed all these things where it actually occurred to such a degree that the girl portraying Beth in the film is actually wearing my wife's actual wedding dress with
Oh,
no need for alterations. So the whole thing, to be part of this thing behind like the director, was just surreal. And
yeah.
and and then in a way to bring my family along for the ride because my siblings all came in town for it. My wife and 4 kids all were part of this to
You
one
didn't
degree.
call even your dog cameo.
My dear smart. My dog made a cameo. So Emma's now famous. She goes by the name Taffy because that was my childhood dog growing up, Taffy. So Emma's famous. You can get her autograph from her paw when we meet next live. It's just surreal. And then carrying this thing forward to be in a darkened theater when you hear people like sniffing and then you hear people laughing out loud. And then at the end of the film, you hear people clapping. Also very surreal because this is our very private, personal story that we wanted no one to know about for a long, long, long time. You know, Jesus, when we do miracles, would frequently say, come here, don't tell a soul. Don't tell a soul. And it's almost like then you can't help yourself. And then when he says, like, go show yourself to those at the synagogue, that's when you get lost and you get lost in your own busyness. Well, there was a miracle that happened in our life and we didn't tell a soul for 20 years. And now there's this film that is rolling into theaters all around the country proclaiming the good news. It's a very redemptive story. It's a reminder to let his light shine. Let your light shine. Like why do we bury the goodness of our lives?
Yeah. Yeah. Share the good news. I love it. All right. So, what practical advice would you give to someone who's feeling burned out? Maybe not by fire, but
Yeah.
by life's pressures, disappointments, the weightiness that we all have.
I mean, the first practical advice would be to give none. If I was your friend, I would not give you a great motivational keynote. I would sit with you and either have a coffee or a beer or a water or just sit in silence around a campfire and just be. I think there's power in presence. And so the very first thing I would do is nothing. That's important. Like, I think we've tried to fix things a little too quickly sometimes rather than sit there and wrestle in the midst of the agony. So the great biblical saints who wrestled with God, it's okay to wrestle for a little bit. So I would wrestle with my friend on that one. And then as we started to move forward, the practical advice would be, well, I think gratitude is underrated. I think it's over discussed, but underutilized. I think we talk a lot about what we're grateful for, but we don't really like live it in our DNA.
Mm.
I mean, we are so shockingly blessed to be alive and have the promise of salvation, to live where we live, when we live there. It is find a place in history, find a place on the map you'd rather be. I challenge anybody, and you'll come right on back to where we are right now. We're blessed, and as we fight about how unlucky we are and how miserable those people are over there, and how they're trying to steal from us, and yet, where would you rather be, and when would you rather be there? So I would encourage my friend to take an inventory of their life, to begin counting blessings they may not have clearly perceived. I would walk them through parts of scripture that might inspire them to recognize that this too shall pass. The God's in the midst of this thing with them, that he's at the well, seated far closer to them than I am right now. I would encourage them to imagine a future that might be bigger than the struggles of today. I would encourage them in time to turn their attention from themselves onto others. I have found the more I'm focused on myself, the more misery I feel. And
Right.
the more I can just look away and help someone else out, the more freedom I find. So I would begin as we cast a vision for life going forward to also cast a vision for what that may look like in service to others. And then I would say, and by the way, there's a question maybe each night you should ask, because I got to go home to my wife and kids. Ask yourself the question, what more can I do? And if you can take one baby step each day going forward, you will find yourself in a radically different place next month, next quarter, next year than you are right now. What more can I do will change your life.
Well, thank you. That was fantastic advice. So we're a university, so we have students. So our students and alumni often talk about wanting to make an eternal impact through their careers and lives. In fact, our motto is knowledge for service.
Yeah.
What encouragement would you give them?
Yeah, those things they don't live alone. I think most of the world, most Christians believe that Christianity is practiced on Sundays. And then if they're really Christian before they eat, and then if they're like hyper Christian, maybe before they go to bed. Like that's how some Christians view it all. And yet I would encourage your students and your graduates to recognize it's one world. It's undivided. Our faith from our secular appearance professionally. And the more you can live and lead and serve in such a way where people recognize you to be different. And then they'll come up to you and say, what is the reason for joy and hope in your heart? That you will then be given a reason to evangelize in a world that doesn't allow you to.
Right.
So I would just encourage you to strive to live an undivided life with the alpha and the omega of it, the beginning and the end of it being your faith that informs how you show up and ultimately where you're going. You'll have a certain casual cadence and joy as you go through the monotony and misery of each day. It will be hyper attractive. It will make you very effective, and it will have people saying you are different. Tell me why.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, John. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and your story. We're so excited that you're coming to campus to be at our booster night and to be our keynote speaker. And that's happening Saturday, November 9th at 7 o'clock in the Roland Fine Arts Center. It's going to be an incredible evening. You're going to leave definitely inspired, I feel like, and thankful. I feel like you're going to leave thankful too. Heart full of gratitude. It's going to be a great night of fellowship. Tickets are still available for Booster Night at Hannibal LaGrange. You can purchase them online at hlg.edu/booster night or contact the office and we'll get you tickets. But John, thank you so much. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy October to talk to us. And we'll see you in a few weeks.
We've done a bunch of podcasts lately, obviously, and a bunch of media interviews, but this was just a joy. So thank you for your heart and thank you for letting me share a little bit of mine.
Yeah. And you get to go a little more spiritual at Hannibal LaGrange. We're not going to pull back any reins.
You're not going to cut the mic on me? I won't be speaking and all of a sudden the mic just drops dead. And I'm like,
Yep.
I guess I crossed the bridge too far.
We're clapping. You might have to stop.
Well, when the things the world is doing aren't working, then we return to the things ultimately that do and did. And so what you're teaching here and what you're empowering your campus to do may be different. And what I would say is thank God. So stay in that lane and it will expand with you.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be great.
Thank you, Lauren.
Take care. We're going to go out and see the movie.
Go see that movie.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.